Okay. I'll probably listen to you on the thing then.
On what thing?
Because it'd be like lagging.
On what thing?
On my I might listen to you on my tablet here instead.
All right, yeah. It's good. It's good. You can comment right here or you can text me. I don't care. But comment right there so you can generate engagement or whatever.
Yeah, I'll probably comment on there.
All right, bet. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to be on mute.
All right, bet.
So I'm live right now.
Oh, when's it ended?
Well, I ended it, but I just restarted it.
I like that.
You were watching it?
You have to refresh this screen share.
I'm just updating right now. Might lag right now a little bit here for you. I'm updating the stream here. It's successful. Let's find another joint to get into. I'm gonna go back to mute quick. Okay. Just to get into it, the following episode contains discussion of sensitive subject matter such as suicide and sexual assault. Content warning here, reading strangers' deepest betrayals. So, the following episode contains discussion of sensitive subject matter such as suicide and sexual assault. We're going to be taking a look at reading strangers' deepest betrayals. It's a 7-minute video. May or might not be my last video for tonight. I might get back on later. Shout out to you guys if you're interested. We're going to get into it in a couple minutes. Let you guys settle in the Discord. Let's see if I can get a half person ready here in my Discord. Shout out to you, Salamid, man. I really appreciate it. So obviously this one's going to have a different mood to it, slightly different mood to it. That's what I want to do with my stuff. That's what I want to do with my channel, man. I want to take, you're going to find me repeating myself a lot with this type of shit. Like I want to take a look at humanity, I guess what anthropological circumstances, real human circumstances, stuff that we're forced to consider every day. That can seem a little awkward to talk to the next person about. Just a little bit awkward, just a little bit revealing. So here we go. Reading strangers' deepest betrayals. Jubilee here. Shout out to Jubilee. 3 million plus here. Let's go.
My best friend tried to kill me with her vehicle. I was on life support for 3 weeks. I'm still trying to understand why she did it. She ruined my life and she only got 5 years probation.
Now, like from a context perspective, it's like I'm wondering, okay, like was that a girl that did that to another girl, or like a boy? What are you guys thinking? Their friend hit her with a car. Sounds like jealousy to me. Sounds like jealousy.
I took $100 from my dad's wallet. He found out and confronted me and my brother. I quickly put the money in my brother's drawer. My dad found it and kicked him out of the house. That was a year ago and we haven't heard much since. He won't answer my calls or texts.
I think instead of kicking somebody out for stealing $100, it's your son, right? He stole $100 from me. He probably wanted the money for something that was going to get him socially lit, like a new outfit or some sneakers or an event that he needed the tickets to. It probably wasn't for a down payment on a house that he stole the money for, right? The $100. It's probably for some seemingly simple thing that he could have borrowed or coerced his parents out of to do the thing that he wanted to, but yet he decided to steal it. When it comes to like situations like that, I'm always thinking, okay, what was the history in the house? How difficult it is to get $50 out of your dad versus some households, bro, you got to know. In some households, the mom is literally handing out $100 as you walk out the house for doing nothing, just for being her baby. She's giving you $100 so you can have a good day. So everybody grows up different. And this kid sounds like, he was just, He needed the fucking money. He wanted the fucking money. He's sitting around. He don't want to think about the shit. He wasn't ready to go out and earn it. And it sounds like he could have been a little bit upset with his parent that it's just not that easy to get the damn $100 off of him. So he steals it in spite.
My friend committed suicide last year, and I was the last person he tried calling. If I took the time and answered, he might still be here today.
My little brother knocked his bowl of ramen while watching TV. My father blamed it on me. And after I tried explaining myself, he started slapping me until my glasses fell on the floor and broke. My mother and my brother did nothing.
Damn, let's take it back, man. You already know I missed 2 of them. I apologize.
My little brother knocked his bowl of ramen while watching TV. My father blamed it on me. And after I tried explaining myself, he started slapping me until my glasses fell on the floor and broke. My mother and my brother did nothing. Later, my mom said, if people ask how you broke your glasses, tell them it was because you fell on the ground.
Now, that's unfortunate. Obviously, abuse in the household, domestic abuse where a guy is beating on his kid because he has a shit life and a shit job and shit circumstances, and he has a pot belly, and he hasn't had fun in a long time, and he's feeling maybe like his pre-touted value isn't fitting what he had set up for his future. So that's why people like react and hurt the people around them, because they're unsatisfied with their own life. Obviously, there's no reason to hit a child or to pop a child and shit over and over again in their face over spilled milk and spilled noodles and shit. There's also, you gotta think creatively, like, if this guy's splashing on his family at dinner time because he's feeding them fucking boring ass noodles, like, you know, sadness like rears its head in a lot of different ways.
I kept the fact that my dad was cheating on my mom with another woman. I should be a lot more mad at my dad, but for some reason, I'm so guilt-ridden and angry at myself for hurting the most important person in my life. I feel like whatever I do, I can't make it up to my mom. It's a lot more difficult of a decision.
When I was a kid, we were taught to stay out of grown folks' business. When you're a child, you just simply don't have the properties to understand adult relationships and adult relationship values. It's always going to be emotional toil. And from that perspective, when you're a kid trying to be concerned about your parents' business, that's why they tell you to mind your own business. Keeping people's secrets because keeping your dad's secret, keeping your mom's secret because you don't want to trade them. That obviously is the unfortunate rock and a hard place to be. I'm sure we often find ourselves in these types of situations more often than we want to. I try to say, yo, what? Be honest about shit. Be honest about shit. That's a rough one, though. That's a real rough one. Secrets make for poison a lot, I guess.
I think then people may realize maybe she sees that and they divorce and it tears apart your whole family. Or maybe she doesn't believe it at all. And then you just become the bad guy first.
Right, and that's what she's saying there. Obviously, is to say like, how are people going to take it? Do you want to split your whole family up over a cheating situation? Do you want to get divorced? Were you looking for a way out? Are you gonna believe the person or the source that came to you and say, "Yo, so and so is doing you bogus behind your back"? I guess a lot of times people wouldn't even want to believe it. So it is sad, obviously, to hold secrets for other people.
I was not believed about my father getting involved with a lady. And speaking about it helped cause a lot of drama in my family. But you shouldn't feel guilty. And you always have to remember that you can't blame yourself for things that other people are doing.
this is difficult stuff because I do believe in being loyal. And if you don't have the ability to be loyal, then you should at least be honest and say like, yo, like, look, I got different like situations I want to get into. I want to get more adventurous sexually. I want us to be more polyamorous. Or I like seeing you with a girl. I like seeing you. I like the women enjoy you and whatever it is, man. Like we just gotta find a route to be more honest and shit. Like you shouldn't be putting it on your daughter to hold a secret for you. And like I said before, your daughter shouldn't be within the range to understand what's going on with you personally. Like it's irresponsible like to be bringing your daughter around some new woman and shit like she doesn't notice. I guess some people are just operate from this oblivious standpoint, and they don't see like how their decisions are gonna have like an extrapolated pointedness for their future. You just gotta foresee stuff, man. You gotta imagine how things are gonna how you would feel if somebody did you like that. But I think I also wanted to touch on like this girl, right? She seemingly said like, she experienced a similar situation where she's holding on to a secret for her father and shit like that. And it's like, come on, you're a child. You don't know grown people's circumstances and shit, when people mistreat each other, they get tired of one another and they look for another partner and shit so they can be refreshed, so they can feel brand new and shit, so they can feel like, oh, I'm liked. I got no schmirk with this person. Like they understand me. Maybe they understand me the way they smiled at me. People are simple. People need to feel good. So if they're not feeling good, they're gonna find routes to make themselves feel good. So if you're in a relationship with somebody that you really love, make sure you ask them the tough questions. Ask them the tough questions so they ain't got to do some shit to embarrass you. Make sure you're being honest with yourself, so you're not embarrassing yourself, and kind of behave with some sense of honor. If you have certain desires, man, make them desires known. I don't know. Are we living in a time where that I can say something like that? Like, yo, if you got desires, make them known so you're not like hurting other people around you. I mean, obviously that's what I'm trying to say. Nobody's perfect. The point of this podcast is not to be, or rather this cast is not to be perfect or to say, oh, I got all the answers. Or again, one of the common themes through our cast here when you share this time with me is to be like we're just pondering together. We're just wondering about this shit. I'm not gonna come at old girl and her brainiac look and everything like that. And but this type of situation right here, she probably considers a lot of stuff every day. She has a big brain pan, and she looks emotionally drawn, and emotionally specific and deep in orientation. I got some weird personally, I got some weird innate sense for people based on like how they sense and vibrate, but like that low vibration type, sadness girl shit, you kind of see that on them and shit. Some guys like that shit because they feel like they can come in and help a girl out and be like, oh, I can, uplift you and shit like you, or it's sexy that you're kind of sad and it's kind of like tormented and shit. Like we're all so different. I'm never surprised by anything.
I was outed as a lesbian by one of my closest friends to teachers at my Catholic school. I was kicked out of that school in the middle of my 8th grade year.
Man.
So.
Okay, lots of thoughts there. Obviously, Catholic school, being outed for being non-binary, and the rat mentality to snitching on people and being concerned about other people's personal lives to the point that you feel like you need to expose them for embarrassment. One of the things I'm always wondering is like people who are interested in doing that to other people, like what do they feel like after they've done that to somebody, like after they've exposed somebody for the worst? Like, are they feeling better about themselves, or do they go through the guise of feeling like, oh yeah, they help protect society from that particular person because they exposed them for some fault or for some mistake that they made in the past? Did her friend out her because Why did her friend out her? Her friend. And again, I go about friends super loosely. There's not many friends in here. People got 3 friends. There's a lot of associates and acquaintances, but there's not many friends, man. There's a lot of people competing with you, and they don't want to see you exceed further than themselves. But friends, your colloquial friend told on you, that shit don't make no sense to me, man. Let me check this pizza. 2 minutes 42 seconds in. I'm gonna let it roll for a second. Here we go.
Oh, in college, I met this person. In secret, they told me that they were discovering they were transgender. And they asked me not to tell anybody. And I broke that promise. I got an email from this person saying that I violated their trust and that I should never speak to them again. And I really regret sharing that information because it was not my information to tell. This person was being vulnerable with me and I violated their trust, and I'm never going to get that back.
My mom passed away a few years ago, and every day it feels like my memories of her get blurrier. I feel guilty and mad at myself for forgetting her. My dad died from a stroke caused by complications from long-standing...
So let me take it back to 2 minutes, 42 seconds
So
here.
in college, I met this person. In secret, they told me that they were discovering they were transgender. And they asked me not to tell anybody. And I broke that promise. I got an email from this person saying that I violated their trust and that I should never speak to them again.
All right, so let's comment on this. Like, you're dating this girl who seems to be like totally classically voluptuous and feminine, and you told her that you were having transgender thoughts, and then you're mad at her because you put her in a place where she thought that she was attracted to a classical man, and she wasn't. And then so she confided in her friend and said, look, like this guy, like I like him, but like I'm also confused as to why he turned out to be this, or defines himself or they as this. That's the human experience right there. We end up making mistakes when we don't understand stuff, obviously. This situation, I don't really look at it like she was like a rat type of situation. I look at she was personally involved with somebody, and basically there was some misnomer or some miscalculation as to who that person really was. And anytime you're roping people into like this secretive shit, it's really manipulative because you don't have the balls. Please allow me not to be so figurative like that, or because you're not coming out and saying, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm thinking, and it has to be this whole secret thing that you have to like hide different shades of your personality and stuff like that and who you are. That's not legitimate. That's putting other people in bad situations. That's putting other people in uncomfortable situations because you can't even be honest with yourself. That's one thing I don't understand about the closet thing, is that like be okay with who you are, and then don't be okay with who you are, and then please don't be mad at other people when they're trying to figure out who you are, when you keep it so clandestine in the sense of like something as topical or as superficial as people trying to figure out like if you would be attracted to them or not, because people can't read all of those cues. Like now with like gender dysphoria and transgenderism and all of these likelies, all of the likeliness behind these personal life approaches, there's a lot of confusion for people around people as to how to treat that person. There's a lot of new rules to follow with pronouns. There's a lot of new circumstantial considerations that people have to make nowadays, and it's like a guessing game if people are going to walk around like where they can't be honest about who they really are and what they really desire. Like there is something unfortunate about that. It has nothing to do with if you're gay or not, or if you're black or Asian, or if you're right wing or left wing. It's about like just being honest with yourself and shit. Like don't hold something so tight and so secretive and then be, you know what I mean? Like, just try to be honest with who you are and be okay with who you are versus like hustling around secrets and then you're mad at people because they are expounding what you said you really are or whom you really want to be. They are, you got to realize, like, if you tell it, if you appear straight or you appear like you like a woman that looks like her, right? She's thinking you're a guy that likes a girl that looks like her. She's gonna be confused when you quietly sit her down and tell her like, yo, like I'm transgender. She's gonna be confused because she probably didn't want a transgender guy. I think that there's transgender people out there or people who are interested in transgender people, and those communities should collide. I think that there's just a mistrust value there when you're saying like, oh, I like the this and this for however engendered person says, I like this woman. I like this. She got the denim look on. It's split up the top. The bustier is expressed. The hair is going. She has this American Asiatic thing going. She's like voluped. She's plumped up, looking well nourished and shit. Like, from a classically classic class perspective, on the accessibility to good food and health. She looks good. She definitely looks like a classic, almost kind of has that English vibe to her, even though, she's not traditionally Anglo, if you will. But if you're gonna take her out on a date and she's expecting you to be a dude, can you really hold her accountable for the thought that you held her in clamps and said, like, I am transgender, but don't tell anybody? That's just like, I don't know. I just get frustrated with that part of it because it's like, like that's such a classic thing, like the out of the closet thing. It's like, yo, just be yourself, man. Nobody even really cares. That's like some self, like you're obsessed with yourself. You're just manipulative, low key. I think these people who can't come out of the closet in a real way for who they really are, not because I'm saying it, but it's about these people who can't come out of the closet and just keep it real. I think this manipulative. It's not fair to the people around you. It's just not fair. It's not fair to her. So she's heartbroken. You can tell that she's heartbroken that she had to do that because she was trying to figure it out at the time. It's just weird. Be honest, man.
And I really regret sharing that information because it was not my information to tell. This person was being vulnerable with me and I violated their trust and I'm never going to get that back.
Okay, somebody was being vulnerable with her and she violated her trust. That's what she sees as a major social infraction. But there's also the contract was mutual though. There was a certain amount of value within her that he should have respected or they should have respected to not put her through that and to not try to own a part of her existence by saying that, hey, I'm interested in you. I'm going to tell you this confusing thing, but you better not tell anybody. And then to say like, oh, she's the betrayer. She betrayed him because she was like trying to figure the thing out. I just think that that's not. There's just something inconcurrent about that. There's just something that it just doesn't quite make parallel and fairness to me. There's a lot of different sensitivities that the LGBTQ community is able to walk around and police with. I think that you got to keep it real. Who knows at what point it was when this person told her like, yo, like I feel like I'm having these type of feelings and I'm thinking about doing these type of procedures and looking into this type of research and adapting a new lifestyle. I think Who knows if that was the first date, second date, third date, fourth date, 50th date? Who knows? But I think it does matter when you're entering into a possible space with people. Just try to keep it real so you don't put them in some funny situation where you can end up blaming them for who you said you were.
My mom passed away a few years ago, and every day it feels like my memories of her get blurrier. I feel guilty and mad at myself for forgetting her.
Now, like this notion is really different. Just to keep it real, my mother passed away when I was 6. It definitely has an effect on you. The memories that I have of her are visceral and crisp. And you're always thinking to yourself, like, wow, like, I can't make more memories with her. I can't develop more memories with her. I can't have a conversation with her. I can't know her as an adult. I can't bullshit with her. I can't talk shit with her. I can't have a coffee with her. I can't drink with her. I can't pass a puff to her. I can't make sure she's straight when she's worried about me. She can't make sure that I'm good. She can't see my babies grow. She can't know my wife. She can't understand me for who I am now, because the last time she saw me, I was 6. So guilt. Do I have any guilt around that? Hell yeah. I guess I got a lot of guilt around it. I feel guilty that that was my path, I guess, that I'm supposed to, I'm motherless, right? There's some type of connotation to being motherless. It puts a different belly, or rather, it puts a different beast in your belly. That's for sure. It's not fun, and it definitely makes you value different aspects of personal relationships and family building.
My dad died from a stroke caused by complications from long-standing blood pressure problems. We were fighting a lot those days and were barely speaking when he passed. I fully believe that stress of our relationship is what caused the stroke and killed him.
Now, we're always going to believe the outset of a situation, the afterthought, the hindsight part, where it's like, oh, this happened, the facts are solid now, right? This is what happened. Blaming yourself for a health related issue when you're a kid and your parent is experiencing health issues, blood pressure issues. I'm wondering, like, in this home, were we considering health standards? Were we considering diet? Were we considering exercise? Were we considering the energetic displacement of all the members in the household? I think when somebody dies suddenly or dies under, dies, it's always unfortunate circumstances. What dies in like a mysterious health way, there's always this tinge of guilt where it's feeling like, damn, should I spoke up more? Should I have said something? I saw him eat that sandwich. I saw him be immobile. I saw his situation deteriorate more. Should I have spoke up? Is it because of the habits in the home? Is it because we were arguing? It's like, these are the pressures we put kids through. Like 20-year-old kids just don't know how to process this shit yet because they haven't built anything or implored themselves into like human endeavor yet, family building and household building and world perspective and understanding what it really means when you establish another generation. Like, so a kid's going to put all the blame on themselves if something like that happens, and like there was an attitude at the time of the death. You know, you're gonna feel bad about that you didn't get the chance to close that relationship up in a respectful way, or feeling like you guys could have been closer had you had a better conversation. Like, I mean, that is the haunter. That will haunt you. That could haunt a person for sure, I think. And it's just, I'm really sad to hear that that's how it's expressed, and the descriptor behind it is sad. Obviously, it's just so sad. But it's definitely not what causes stroke. What causes stroke is his health habits much beforehand, maybe 20, 25 years beforehand. Especially if he was able to generate a child who's an adult reacting to this video, or doing one of the readings in this Deepest Betrayals exhibition here. So I fully believed that stress of our relationship is what caused the stroke and killed him. So that just says like, oh, I could have been cooler, I could have been nicer, I could have listened more, I could have been more available. We could have had that conversations, but you know, like I was saying before, staying out of grown folks' business is such a line to toe when you're a child within the household with parents and stuff. You're trying to stay out of their business and trying to find a route to show that you're concerned about them. And some parents don't allow that. Some parents don't let you into that adult realm of allowing you to police them or care for them.
That's really hard to go through. I don't think you should be blaming yourself. Honestly, time would heal most things. Journaling has helped. Talking to, if you have your mother figure in your life, just being able to really get your thoughts out so that
I do think that journaling is very helpful because it allows you not to obsess over things. It allows you to get it out of your head versus going over and over and over and over and over in your head about the details. Like get it out, whether it's just note taking for an important work meeting, whether it's something you got to get off your chest, whether it's something you're trying to figure out. It does help to see things from a physical perspective.
that you're not choked up with all that guilt inside. Just let it come out of you. As a child, I was taken advantage of sexually by multiple men in my family. At age 15, when a school counselor heard about a specific uncle touching me, she called the police and my mother. What hurt the most was when my mother was angry at me instead. I became disowned in my own home for years.
Now, something like that is horrible. The mom must be feeling some type of extreme guilt that she allowed her child to be in that type of place, in that type of position. There's no excuse for isolating a kid, a child, a person who barely knows anything about life in these type of situations. These sexual situations are so weird when it involves like kids or kids trying to understand their own sexuality and growing up in a household that doesn't discuss sex or teach you what sex safety is or teach you what's right and wrong or keep you away from predators and stuff like that. There's so many there's so many variables, excuse me, to having a safe family. You have to be aware of how to keep your kids safe from people who want to harm them. This is such a sad story. I'm always intrigued at how people are able to turn the tides of blame or turn the tides of responsibility by trying to basically um, put a guard wall up to the situation. Trying to stonewall it per se. That was the word I was looking for. A lot of people, if something happens, they'll just turn their back on it like it didn't happen and then blame you. I think that's that knee jerk reaction to say, God, when the gut knows that they were wrong or they could have done something to prevent something horrible or tragic from happening, and they didn't. And so the reaction is to displace the person, the victim, because the victim reminds you of the thing. Really sad. Really, really sad. Try to teach your family, try to teach your kids, if you have kids, about, respecting their body and respecting themselves and respecting other people's bodies, because kids make mistakes. I was one of those kids once when I was 12, 13, growing up hurt, and you're put in these personal situations and you make mistakes, so there has to be sexual education for kids, because kids need to know and people need to know how to respect themselves, and respect others. No kid should be blamed for something like this. with these type of circumstances that she's stating. Imagine the amount of betrayal you feel if you're that child who was basically abused, not basically, but was abused, essentially raped and whatnot, and now she's the black sheep of the family. Maybe there's, I'm always wondering with these things, like, is there generational abuse like that? Does it get displaced? Because if you uncover this one case, then you're going to really reveal generational abuse. And I get the sense that that's what it is a lot of times. So let's keep going.
It's especially hard when you don't want to talk about it and you don't want anybody to find out because you have no idea what's going to happen. And then you finally get the courage to say something and it just ends up horrible. I'm sorry. I understand. And it does help to talk about it. Having people around you that support you.
I think, like, with sex abuse and stuff like that, there's so many, like, angles on it because of how it affects families and, like, blows families up and stuff, and embarrassment culture and stuff like that. So it's like, when these events happen, is it easier for these kids to hide the is it easier for these family units to hide the child rather than to confront the perpetrator of the abuse? And that's what made me say before, like, maybe, if that's how she's reacting to her essential brothers, because they're the uncles, then it makes you feel like maybe there was another unfortunate line of abuse in the past that led to this type of passing behavior.
And that you can trust is very important. Even talking to someone about things like a therapist, it helps. Even though it seems like it won't. At some point, it's going to get better.
I tried to kill myself the same night after me and my mother fought. I went to my school to ask for help. My mother was more mad at me for getting help than the fact that I tried to end my life.
Okay, so I think we really got to try to be honest with ourselves and try to heal stuff from the past and try to. I think sometimes pain gets displaced as vengeance. And so the kid is put in a place where she wants to end her life to basically punish her mother. I've come across a lot of stories, and that's what kind of gives me a spectrum on a lot of these varying thoughts. I'm just drawing from the natural ether, and that's what it reminds me of right away. Is just like trying to repunish people who've punished you, and then the mother, in turn, her reaction when the kid goes to the likely authority says, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm dealing with this." The embarrassment by the mother to say, "You're my child. My child shouldn't have had to deal with that. You exposed that my child had to deal with that to the school and to that institution for which I have to show up to and show my face to." So there's that. That's the subliminal reaction. The subliminal reaction is to avoid embarrassment, even though it wasn't really, hopefully, your case of embarrassment. But low key, when you're a parent, it's super hard to separate what's happening to you and what's happening to your child, especially in the face or the shadow of the world. If you're a loving parent, like I find myself to be, then you're ready to combat any and everything, and you're ready to, like, burn shit down if something happened to your kid, in any way whatsoever, I'm ready to thrash, I'm ready to kill, I'm ready to hurt people if somebody did something like that to my kid. I'm hurt and I'm upset at myself if I somehow caused some feature of neglect that allowed my kid to have that type of experience or be taken advantage of in any way whatsoever. I'm always hoping that rather than feeling sorry for yourself, that you're willing to step up for your child or step up for your loved one if they're in the face of danger, and not be so concerned about the id, which is like the id ego made a mistake, and so I hate myself, and I can't be available for the person who really needs my help with for whom which the thing really happened to. So when big things happen, when bad things happen, ask yourself: are you available to the victim? Are you available to the person that needs support? Um, or are you too embarrassed to talk to them about it?
Sorry. Yesterday actually marked 10 years that my mom left me and my dad. And after she left is when I started battling with depression and anxiety and just like abandonment issues. And with that going on, I actually attempted suicide also because I felt like if my own mom didn't want to stay with me, then what is the purpose of being here?
Now you heard what she said. That's obviously incredibly sad. Shout out to my family who's downstairs and they're playing, and my two babies are playing. My wife is downstairs patiently waiting for me, interacting and stuff like that, like waiting for me to finish reacting to this video. So sad. This girl, this lady here wanted to basically end her life because, she was abandoned by her mom. Like, you know, we got to be honest with ourselves. We all think like this to some range where it's like, okay, you're trying to weigh up matrices, you're trying to weigh up your value ranking. Like, who are my favorite people? Who values me? Who likes me? Who favors me? Does my mom like me? Do I have a good relationship with my mom? Am I a burden to my mom? Does my mom favor me, or does she favor my sister or my brother? People are always doing this type of math. And it can be super stressful, man. It can be super stressful. That's why I'm always saying, like, if you love somebody, you got somebody in your life, like, tell them those reinforcers. Ask them what type of love language that they need in order to feel that ASMR. Shout out to the video I did earlier. Parentheses there. In order for that ASMR like tinge or sensation to tingle through their body, for them to feel wanted and needed and understood. It's different language for everybody. Everybody reacts differently to different types of love. Abandonment issues. As I said before, right? Like, I guess, I've had to battle my own consciousness with abandonment issues. It never made me want to really expire or something like that. It made me feel very down on myself and made me feel like less of a person. And it made me feel like less value, and it made me feel envious from a point of when you see people and they have nuclear parents, and that maybe that they lament about a lot. Maybe they complain about their parents a lot. And I would always see that as like, okay, like, damn, I wish my mom was right here, right now. Abandonment. I'm saying now as an adult, I feel more so like I think a lot about lineage and the value of lineage. Like, the value of lineage is so important. Obviously, family's so big, so important. Like, from that perspective of feeling like, yo, value, and like as she's saying, if my mom doesn't want to fuck with me, like, what am I doing around here? My mom don't even want to fuck with me. Like, that's sad. That's really sad. And for me, on my perspective, and I don't want to make it about my perspective, you'll slowly get to learn a little bit about me here and there, but you do and or would end up thinking like, yo, things be different if my mom was around. Would things be different if my mom didn't abandon me? Would it be different if she didn't die? What is it about me? Like, you got to think creatively, right? we're always trying to push ourselves to do that. Like, what is she really thinking? Is she thinking to herself, like, what is it about me and my dad that mom didn't like, where she had to dip? Mom found a whole new life and just fucking cut us off and didn't care about us. Like, that's super painful. I think for a lot of people, it's so confusing when there's such disregard. When you look so akin or like a person, I gotta assume she looks at least 50% like her mother. And when she looks at her mother, she sees a lot of the same features she sees when she gazes at herself in the mirror. And that's painful. That's like painful to think like you, a different version, your maternal version, would not want to like you. I mean, it's too sad looking. Hopefully this video isn't too depressing or something like that. We gotta head up some of these topics, just so we can continue to create the energy here and create a vibe where we're touching on a lot of different thoughts, human thoughts. So I think one of the biggest things I like to think about when it comes to like empathy is like, okay, this girl here, right? She's feeling this way. How do you prevent yourself from feeling this way? I always think it just comes down to humility and just being like, you know what, mom, I love you. I'm sorry we argued about this thing. I love you. You know what? I'm sorry I didn't follow completely in your footsteps, but I'm my own person and I just want to do my thing, but I still need you to love me, mom. Like we just need to have more simple language for some of these complex, common relationship issues that we have with one another, especially when it comes to familiar issues, maternal and paternal. I think the language, I think the potentiality, I think the words could be there and can be there. Do we feel brave enough and supported enough to reach out for the right words to get our point across so we can prevent some of these situations? Also, I mean, can you prevent a situation like this where she abandoned because her mom actually did leave 10 years ago, her and her father? Was her mother, from another adult perspective, able to find some situation that nourished her more intellectually and spiritually, and that's why she left? I mean, there's such a drastic notion to trying to say like, oh, right, leaving another, like nobody wants to hear that. Like that's so defeating and so sad. And that's why we have the concept of loyalty. When you're constantly fishing and thinking that there's something out there that could potentially be better, are you actually valuing what you currently have? You're not really. You're taking for granted what you currently have and you're being greedy. I think everybody should try to, not everybody, I don't think everybody, but I'm not trying to say it with that tone. I'm saying that we should try to give ourselves, myself included, I should try to give myself a chance to ask myself what I really want. And what I'm really after, especially in relationships. Because when you're in a relationship with people, when you're in a family, it's not just about you. Families need to be able to see how they impact one another and be able to be honest about that. You hate to see people saddened by situations that they seemingly can't fix. Can you bring your mom back after 10 years if she'd never wanted to be there?
I feel for this person because they wanted to end their life after they fought with their mom. I hope.
And obviously, contextually, there it wasn't her. I'm assuming she was reading that off the card there, so it wasn't this gal here. Bless her heart. But it seems like this situation happened to someone. Appreciate the people you had in your life. Tell them you love them. Tell them you like them. Tell them the type of language they need to use around you to make you feel a little bit better. Tell them you're not trying to off-put them. Tell them you're not trying to make them uncomfortable. Tell them that you really believe in trying to better the relationship because you don't want to fall out with them.
Their relationship with their mother is good now and that they got the help that they needed.
When I came out to my parents as gay, they told me to keep my mouth shut and not tell anyone because it could ruin the family name. They chose reputation over their own child's happiness. So Because of my background,
Now, this is one of those things, the out of the closet thing for parents and for families and stuff like that, because um I feel like the family mood and family discipline doesn't really take in account traditionally sexual orientation. Um, a lot of times in families, they're not going to be preaching up sexual orientation or saying, "Hey, you're straight, so make sure you do straight stuff," or "You're gay, so make sure you do gay stuff," or "You're transsexual. I'm assuming you're transsexual, so let's get you prepped for that." Like there is a wave of some of that stuff, but it's like the old generation of people weren't really talking about this stuff, so it left a lot of kids in the dark and made them feel very alone about it. Um, and then as you see this gentleman here, he's a Nigerian person, and they typically have a lot of neo masculine and neo feminine perspectives on roles, sexual roles, or marital roles, and stuff like that. So I think that there's a phobia in the black community. I'll tell you this: straight cisgendered men and stuff like that, like myself and shit like that, like I think on some realm there's fear about the gay community because we feel like there's been so much subjugation, so much um, oppression, so much emasculization of our men, that we still want to be sure that we can be seen in a strong light and not a weakened light. Um, that's the preoccupation with straight men like myself. I can say that because that's my feeling about it. I know that it doesn't serve to respect or to endure the perspectives of a person who is trying to work those type of things out with their sexuality and their representation to their family. It's so complicated, ruining reputations because of who you choose to date and who you know the parent doesn't want to be seen to have raised a gay child or being embarrassed by this stuff. What is that about when we're embarrassed about this stuff? People are always concerned with making a mistake, right? They don't want to be seen to have made a mistake, a parenting mistake, or um, they want to they wanted to look like the parents wanted to look like they were providing a set of virtues that would have brought this kid up better in their eyes. Or we tend to look at it like, oh, it's my mistake. Some people look at it like that. There's a southern mentality that kind of looks at it like it's something to be corrected. I don't believe that. I think that it's a natural or a I guess a natural affinity historically for there to be people who aren't straight. So I don't have any problem with people who aren't straight. I don't care. We're trying to take a look at okay, if you weren't straight and your dad and your mother expected you to be straight, it would probably be difficult for you to have deep conversations with them and honest conversations with them and for them to actually get a chance to know who you are because you feel like you have to hide something for them that would potentially embarrass them. The parent ends up not being able to save the child because the child is trying to save the parent from embarrassment.
I'm Nigerian, and then coming from a culture that doesn't just not celebrate it, but discourages it can be especially difficult. The best thing is to find your chosen family, to find people that will support you and love you unconditionally, because you have to navigate this crazy world with people on your side. It's unfortunate if it can't be your.
That's one of the craziest things is like you gotta find family. Like, okay, if people don't agree with your choices, then you have to find this group of people who agree with your choices in order to feel comfortable. It doesn't matter what topic it is. It doesn't matter what orientation. It doesn't matter what interest interest cliche or niche cliche group of interest. It's always about like, okay, like you need to be around people who understand you and support you for who you really are. And it's just a real sad thing that you can be born from a family but denied the support of that family if you're not making the same type of decisions that they are.
Bloodline, but there are people you should know that will support you.
You just really got to pay attention to who you bring into your life, the type of people they're around as well. Someone who's your friend, really, or someone who looks out for you.
Yo, real shit. And there's all types of different ways to looking out for one another, from complimenting each other to noticing something that somebody did to having a keen ear on the things that they're working on and making sure to be encouraging to them. I, as you get older and as you have more life experiences, it's like you get a more keen ear, and the truth rings louder and louder to you because you know by the genuflections and the mannerisms of the person who may or may not support you. You can read people a little easier. You know who's for you and who's not for you. And that's all based on trying to find these community groups that are conducive to our personality and our mentality. Everybody needs support. Everybody needs support. Everybody needs support. There's no one that doesn't need support. Um, I think as a closer, it's always really sad. Like, okay, with this betrayals topic here, like, it's always really sad if people have to endure certain things within their own head, and they're not getting any support. They're not. There's nobody there to alleviate any of the stress or pain for them. Um, I think what I'm falling into here, thought wise, is that it's so interesting that this world can be so populated, but you can still find yourself completely alone, bubbled within a specific notion. Um, And I think that that's why, not even I think, I believe that that's why a lot of these disparaged communities so differing, are really fighting within POC, or rather PC culture, to stamp a name and a claim and a respect for themselves, a sense of dignity for themselves, because people, it's hard to feel dignified alone. Um, from a human perspective, you need people to reflect your dignification to basically function as a reminder that you're making the right decisions along the way. We all need positive encouragement. Um, you don't want to find yourself alone. Um, this just reminds me of so many different thoughts, because it's like you meet a friend, you meet a potential friend, or a potential confidant or acquaintance, and you're thinking like, okay, you're clocking it. Like, could I trust this person? You think I could trust this person? And it's in the way that the person carries themselves, the way that they talk, the way that they treat people around them that were already around them. You're constantly gathering information and intel on, can you trust this person? Is this person going to sell you out based on what they know about you and what their interests are? Um, Obviously, I feel like there's some I won't say Freudian, but I will say that there's just a mistrust component there. It almost becomes Freudian, because it's like, okay, at base, you're always trying to trust mama. You're always trying to trust papa. And when you can't trust mama or papa, you look to replace mama and papa in the world with the relationships you develop. Um, How do we continue to get to a place where it's not about the blame that we're putting on people who offended us, but it's about the table at which you could potentially sit to figure out the thing to make both parties feel better about the situation. Like, we I want to participate in being investigative to try to put together better and more language, or at least be supportive to one other person out there that might be having a fucked up day, or a day of non-clarity, or a day where they're feeling kind of alone, or a day where they're feeling like, fuck, like I want to be motivated, but I could just be motivated if one person told me they loved me, or saw the hard work I was doing, or a person that, how does the inept person feel? How does the incapable person feel? How does the dumb person feel? The lonely person. This, like, low key, I think a big part of this cast is just trying to figure out human existence, right? I think at base, I'm trying to figure out, are we wasting our time with some of these failed interactions that don't seem as fruitful as you would have expected? Are we wasting time by being butthurt about stuff when we can choose to be honest? It's not about being perfect. We're so imperfect, and that's what's perfect about being us. I think from some weirdo some weirdo contrived intellectual place, from my own standpoint, I would say contrived. Maybe I'm sure I'm just knitting this together at ends, but maybe this ultimate confusion in the matrix here allows us to have new experiences in a non-predictable way, to give us the chance to have a real raw experience. So hopefully I didn't get too deep. I just want to be considerate of a lot of the that are encircling some of these things, and we're gonna keep it fun. We're gonna get into a lot of stuff. This one was a different one. Even though it says reading strangers' deepest betrayals, I didn't realize how unfortunately downer it was gonna be. We've all been in that type of situation where we're upset about something, or we're sad about something, and shout out to Jubilee for putting a lot of sensitive human habits on display for us to try to dissect for ourselves and try to understand a little bit more. I think ultimately that's what they're obviously trying to do with the empathy thing. I know a lot of their material nowadays is like really thoroughly edited. And that's why I'm trying to avoid that with my stuff. It saves me time, obviously, but I also want to come across really raw with what we're doing here and make sure you guys can tell that I'm just trying to give a raw perspective, and that's the entertainment base to this, is that you can count on me telling my truth, or at least trying to bend the circumstances to my necessary will of understanding for you guys, or through you guys, bringing your understanding to me so I can kind of take a look at it, or learn from it. Anytime we're given our chance, or excuse me, anytime we're giving ourselves a chance to learn from stuff, I think we're giving ourselves a chance to have the advantage. So, with that being said, keep doing things that you want to do. Keep loving yourself. Love the people around you. Don't take shit for granted. Talk about the hard things. Talk about the hard things, because the hard things actually make for a little bit of interest. If it's awkward, say, hey, this is an awkward thing. I've been talking about it, or rather, I've been thinking about it. I want to talk about it with you. Can we talk about it? I want to get it off my chest. I think it could bring us closer. Through difficulty, not toxicity, through difficulty, there can be some amount of interest. So just keep challenging yourself, try to look at things head on. Let's have a good night. I know I get repetitive with my thought process in the sense of reiterating certain things, but keep going at it, keep doing your thing, and I appreciate you guys for listening in. More videos to come, more videos to come, more videos to come. Have a good night.